The life simulation you're about to experience today is that of a man Luo Guanzhong mythologized for 800 years. I am Zhuge Liang. Did the borrowing of arrows with straw boats really happen? Who actually summoned the eastern wind? In which official history is the empty fort strategy recorded? You think these were my doing, but open the real histories and the name written there isn't mine at all. I am not a god. I am a man. The novels made me summon wind and rain. The histories made me labor until my last breath. Today I'll peel apart these two versions, layer by layer, and let you judge for yourself which is true. I was born in 181 AD, a native of Yangdu in Liang. I lost my father young, fled south with my uncle to escape the chaos, and finally settled in Nanyang, plowing the fields, comparing myself to Guanzhong and Yue. Back then, no one believed me. In the 12th year of Jinan, 207 AD, Liu Bei came to my thatched cottage 3 times. I was 27 years old. Inside that hut, I drew him a map dividing the realm into 3. This was the Longzhong plan. From that day until I died at the Wuzhong Plains, exactly 27 years passed. The first 14, I helped Liu Bei conquer the realm. The last 13, I held it together for his son. Every event of those 27 years, I remember myself. First, the borrowing of arrows with straw boats. In the novel, Zhou ordered me to forge 100,000 arrows in 10 days. I used the dense fog and straw figures to trick Cao Cao's army into giving me their arrows. A thrilling performance. But this episode, my name appears nowhere in the records of the 3 kingdoms. Chen Shou wrote it plainly. The man who borrowed the arrows was Sun Quan. The place was Ruxa Mouth, and the year was the 18th of Jinan, 5 years after the Battle of Red Cliffs. Sun Quan sailed his great warship out to scout Cao Cao's forces. Cao Cao ordered 10,000 arrows fired at once. The ship took arrows on one side and began to tilt, so Sun Quan ordered it turned about so the other side could take its share, balancing the load before sailing back. That is what the histories actually record. Luo Guanzhong took this incident from Sun Quan and grafted it onto me, then shifted it to the eve of Red Cliffs, added a sworn military pledge, and turned it into a stage play. I admit it, he wrote it beautifully. Next, the borrowing of the eastern wind. In the novel, I built a 7-star altar, loosened my hair, raised a sword, performed rituals to call the southeastern wind, and burned Cao Cao's 800,000-strong navy. Anyone reading that page believed I commanded magic. But the biography of Zhuge Liang in the records of the 3 kingdoms, from beginning to end, never mentions the eastern wind, never mentions me building any altar. The frontline commander at Red Cliffs was Zhou. I was in the rear, serving as a diplomatic envoy. Meteorological records show that the Red Cliffs region in winter does occasionally produce abnormal southeasterly winds, with about a 3% probability. It was a seasonal wind, not sorcery. The true master of that eastern wind was heaven, not me. Next, the empty fort strategy. In the novel, my forces were depleted, the city gates flung wide, and I sat on the gate tower playing the qin until I scared off Sima Yi's army. A tale every schoolchild knows. But the source of the empty fort strategy isn't a history book. It's the 5 anecdotes of Liang, written by Guochong of the Western Jin. When Chen Shou compiled the records of the 3 kingdoms, he judged it unreliable and refused to include it. That's the key clue. The Southern Dynasty's historian Pei Songzhi annotated the text and refuted these 5 anecdotes one by one. He wrote that if Sima Yi truly had brought a great army, he should have surrounded the empty city to observe. Why would he simply flee at the sight of it? The logic does not hold. More crucially, during that period Sima Yi was nowhere near the Yangping front. The empty fort strategy is, in the consensus of historians, a tale invented by later generations. I was merely the name they borrowed. Now the wooden oxen and gliding horses. This part is real. Between the 9th and 12th years of Jinxing, during my northern expeditions, I did construct wooden oxen and gliding horses to haul grain along the mountain roads from Hanzhong to the Qishan Range. But the novel turned them into self-walking wooden robots, and that goes too far. They were closer to improved wheelbarrows and 4-wheeled carts, carrying around 250 kilograms each, pushed and pulled by human labor. They solved the supply lines, not the laws of nature. Now the 7 captures of Menghua. The southern campaign is real. In the 3rd year of Jinqing, I led troops to pacify the 4 southern commanderies. But 7 captures and 7 releases? The official histories give only the briefest mention. The detailed scenes were filled in by later generations. Put it all together and you'll find this. The novel added at least 4 major events to my name. The strawboat arrows, the eastern wind, the empty fort strategy, and the dramatic embellishments of the 7 captures and releases. None of them were my doing. So what did I actually do? Start with governing Shu. Before Liu Bei entered Shu, the laws of Zhuge were lax, and the powerful clans oppressed the common people. Together with Fa Zheng, Liu Ba, Liang, and E.G., I drafted the Shu Code. The Shu Code was the foundational law of Shu Han. I enforced a strategy of curbing the strong before raising the weak. First using law to suppress the powerful clans and bureaucrats, then supporting the farmers in their fields. In an age of chaos, whoever first upholds rules is the one who endures. In the records of the 3 kingdoms, Chen Shou left 12 characters about me. Clear in instruction, faithful in reward and punishment, none uncondemned for crime, none unhonored for virtue. From a court historian, this is the rarest praise a ruler can receive. A few years later, Zhuge looked like this. Officials harbored no corruption. Every man strove for himself. Lost goods on the road were left untouched. The strong did not bully the weak, and the customs of the land turned solemn. These 20 characters are not mine. They are written in the histories. My philosophy in governing Shu drew half from the preaching legalists, Shang Yang and Han Fei, and half from Dong Zhongshu of the former Han. I held that law and ritual must work together, authority and virtue advance together, law as the bones, virtue as the flesh. Now the southern campaign. In the 3rd year of Jinqing, 225 AD, I led troops to pacify the 4 commanderies of the south. After that war, the south did not rise in major rebellion for a long time, and Shu Han could focus its attention northward. Now the inventions. The wooden oxen and gliding horses were real, and so was the repeating crossbow. I improved the Zhuge repeating crossbow, so it could fire 10 bolts at once. None of this was sorcery. It was engineering, my most direct answer to the problems of supply and firepower. I also wrote the memorial on setting out the army, and the letter admonishing my son. The first was a memorial to the emperor. The second was a family letter to my son Zhuge. Both are still read today. Within the letter admonishing my son is this line. Only by being indifferent can one make clear one's aspirations. Only by being still can one reach far. These 14 characters are the most direct thing I left to later generations. They have outlived any military achievement. Now the northern expeditions. This is the most important matter of my later life, and the most contested. From the 6th to the 12th year of Jinqing, I launched 5 northern expeditions against Chao Wei. The first northern expedition, 6th year of Jinqing. I marched out from Qishan. The situation was favorable. 3 commanderies declared for me. Then Ma Su was set to defend Jieting. He defied my orders, encamped his army on a hilltop, and Zhang he cut off his water supply. The whole force was routed. I executed Ma Su in tears and asked to be demoted 3 ranks. I was 48 years old that year. For the first time I learned that a misjudgment of men is harder to bear than a defeat in battle, and harder still to explain to anyone else. The second northern expedition, that same winter, I laid siege to Qinsong. The Wei General Hao Zhao had only 1,000-some men, but held fast. After more than 20 days my supplies ran out, and I withdrew. A second failure. The third northern expedition, 7th year of Jinqing. This time I took the 2 commanderies of Wudu and Yinping. A modest gain, but no strategic breakthrough. I had merely opened a door. The 4th northern expedition, 9th year of Jinqing. I marched out from Qishan again, faced Sima Yi in the field, and slew the Wei General Zhang He. This was the finest battle I ever fought. But Liang failed to deliver the supplies on time and falsified the military reports. So once again, I was forced to withdraw. The 5th Northern Expedition, 12th year of Jinxing, 234 AD. I led 100,000 troops out through the Xie Valley, settled them to farm at the Wuzhong Plains, and faced Sima Yi across the Wei River. This time, I prepared for a war of attrition. Sima Yi refused battle. He held. I attacked. He delayed. I waited. In the 8th month, I fell ill in the army camp at the Wuzhong Plains. I was 54 years old. Before I died, I arranged the order of withdrawal and laid out my charges to Jiang Wei and Yang Yi. I died on the road of the Northern Expedition. His campaign unfinished. The man departed first. This line was written for me later by Du Fu. But in that moment, no one wept for me. Within the army of Shu Han, there was only order, no tears, the retreat carried out in perfect discipline. 5 northern expeditions, and not once did I push into the heart of Guangzhou. That is fact. Chen Shou wrote that I was strong in marshaling armies, but weak in clever stratagem, abler in governing the people than in commanding generals, skilled at managing troops and citizens, but not at unconventional schemes. Chen Shou's verdict was already disputed in the Tang dynasty. The Tang general Li Jing said Chen Shou did not understand military affairs. He failed to grasp that marching and marshaling armies is itself the difficult work. Only one who can govern an army can be called a great commander. But however the argument runs, the fact remains, I never took Chang'an. Shu Han was a small state with a weakened populace. Wei had abundant troops and grain. With the strength of one province, I struggled against the lands of 9, year after year of northern expeditions, and I truly did not succeed. Yet you should know this. From 228 to 234 AD, in 6 years, I forced Wei to surrender the strategic initiative to me. Sima Yi refused to fight because he could not defeat me in open battle and dared only to defend. That itself was already a miracle. And so we come to the final chapter. 1,800 years have passed. Where has history placed me? And in what shape has it cast me? Chen Shou's final verdict on me in the records of the 3 kingdoms is this. In his capacity for governance, Zhuge Liang was nearly the equal of Guanzhong and Shaohe. Meaning, in the art of governing a state, I stood just below Guanzhong and Shaohe. Du Fu of the Tang came to the temple of the Marquis of Wu in Chengdu and wrote the prime minister of Shu. 3 visits troubled him with the plans of all under heaven. 2 reigns he opened and saved with an old minister's heart. His campaign unfinished, the man departed first. Long has he made the heroes weep until their robes were soaked. That poem turned me from a historical figure into a symbol. Du Fu also wrote the 8 formations. His merit covered the realm of 3 kingdoms. His fame was made by the 8 formations. The river flows on, but the stones do not turn. He left behind the regret of failing to swallow Wu. He set me within the architecture of the 3 kingdoms and gave me the heaviest position there. Luo Guanzhong wrote the romance of the 3 kingdoms in the late Yuan and early Ming, more than 1,100 years after my death. He cast me as an all-knowing sage and heaped every clever stratagem onto my name. From that point on, novel and history fused into one. Modern historians like Lu Simeon and Tian Yuqing have said much the same thing. The Zhuge Liang of the romance of the 3 kingdoms is a literary figure. The Zhuge Liang of the records of the 3 kingdoms is a statesman and military commander. The 2 must be looked at separately. But the common people don't care. For more than 1,000 years, those who came to burn incense at the temple of the Marquis of Wu remembered only the eastern wind, the straw boat arrows, the empty fort strategy. They loved the Zhuge Liang who works magic, not the prime minister whose northern expeditions failed year after year. I myself do not mind whether I am deified or restored. What I care about is this: the man coughing blood by lamplight at the Wuzhong Plains, the man who executed Ma Su in tears, the man who wrote the memorial on setting out the army. Is there anyone who still remembers him? Bowing my body, I gave my all, and only in death did I cease. These 8 characters I wrote myself, in the latter memorial on setting out the army. I lived up to them. The rest I leave to the histories, to those who come after, and to you. Tell me, then, The Zhuge Liang who has been mythologized for 1,800 years, was he given to us by history or by the novel? Tell me in the comments which Zhuge Liang lives in your heart.